Okay. Meeting is now streaming on YouTube. It's funny though, because while it says that, and I do think we're live, hi, on my YouTube, oh, there we go. It just popped up. It lags a few seconds. So it's weird. You can't watch that one and this one. But anyway, hi, everybody. I'm Lynn. I am the co-founder and CEO of Masami and Il de Nature, and I'm here at the Conscious Beauty Collective, which is our pop-up store in San Francisco. Check it out. It's amazing. All these amazing indie beauty and wellness brands. And I have one of them who I love, who's here today, and we're going to talk about her brand. She has an amazing brand, an amazing product, and I want to dig into it because I want to know more. And so welcome Elaine from Elaine Wellness.
Thank you, Lynn. Pleasure always to be with you.
Yes. Here's her product. I will just show it. Boom. So our pop-up is, I'll just tell a little bit about that. It's here in San Francisco at Stonestown Galleria until June 30th. And it's not just beauty, it's also supplements and wellness products, because our whole philosophy is it's beauty inside and out. And you can't just put stuff on and hide, cover up. You have to also find things that reveal your beauty and bring it out from the inside out. And that's the cool thing about some of these products. And that's the cool thing about Elaine's product that we're going to talk about, because this is a really great way to feed your skin and hair. And I need that because it's
I love your hair. I love your short hair.
It's getting there.
Yeah.
So anyway, so welcome and thank you. And let's just start. I love actually when you talk about your journey, because it's so relatable, and you and I have that in common, that we both have Hashimoto's in addition to my other things. So why don't you share a little bit about that and how you started?
Yeah. So in 2013, I was teaching Pilates, managing 2 Pilates studios. I thought I was the picture of health. And there I was, 44 years old. I gained 10 pounds in 3 months when nothing about my diet or exercise had changed. I would sleep 10 hours a night, pull myself out of bed, felt absolutely exhausted.
Yep.
And then the really alarming thing, when I went to my hairstylist and she's like, something's wrong. What's happening? Your hair's falling out and breaking. And I go to my doctor and she was like, well, this is just normal. This is part of midlife, basically. Like, here's the pen and paper, sign on the dotted line. And I was like, no.
So wait, did they give you Synthroid?
Well, so I made her test my thyroid. I had read Sarah Gottfried's books, which are really wonderful books for women about hormones and your body. And she's like, I'll test your TSH, but I will not test you for Hashimoto's. So I was put on levothyroxine and I did start to feel better. But then about 6 weeks later, I broke out in gut-tape psoriasis from my scalp to my ankles.
Oh,
yeah. So clearly something was wrong. And I'm not one to just accept answers and be told. I basically was told, you're only going to get sicker. There's nothing you can do.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. So I had a good cry. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not one to just settle. So I went in search of answers, and I first changed my diet. I removed gluten, dairy, and grains.
That's hard to do, boy. That's like all my favorite foods right there.
It's hard. I know. I'm a carb girl. Like, I love bread. I love pasta.
Cheese. Oh my God.
Cheese. I know. I had to have a full breakup with cheese. And crackers.
Okay. So that's rough. So you did that. And then how did you feel after that?
Well, I did that. And then lo and behold, about 6 months later, I go back and get my TSH checked. And it was over 8 initially, which is ridiculously high.
Ridiculously high. That's insane.
That's insane. My antibodies were over 1100. I mean, everything was off the charts.
Crazy.
And my numbers started to come down, even though everybody said, like, you're never going to reverse this. It's not possible. So I also read about collagen because I was really upset about my hair. I've always had a lot of hair, and
you have amazing hair too. So I would be upset if I had your hair.
Thank you. Masami.
Yeah.
And so I really had not heard of collagen. I'm like, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to add that to my diet. And so I did. And like 6 months later, my hairstylist is like, wait, something's different. You've got all this like new hair growth coming in. And I told her I added collagen. She's like, well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. So that's really where my journey began. And I was able to reverse my Hashimoto's. I no longer have antibodies to my thyroid.
Wow.
Yeah.
What really, okay, I love and I hate about your story. It's amazing what you did and you did it yourself, but I hate that conventional medicine is not there for us.
It's
Like,
not.
It's you can't like because I had this experience going through my cancer treatment where I would ask about supplements and literally my oncologist would just shake her head and be like, no, yeah, no, nothing really. And I just don't believe that because I started taking some supplements that I actually think started to shrink my tumor before I started chemo because I had an 8 centimeter tumor. And then when I started chemo, it had already shrunk. And how else do you explain it?
Right.
When it's that fast growing. So anyway, my point being that it's so good that you took it into your own hands to figure it out because otherwise, you'd still be going to doctors and they'd still be testing you and telling you they don't know what's going on or whatever. So, okay. So then you decided the collagen was so great and it worked for you so well that you wanted to start a company. Which
I had a crazy, crazy idea. Yeah, I had left Pilates. I'd done a little detour and I was dating a guy who was a stockbroker. So I went to work at a stockbrokerage from Pilates to stockbroker.
That is like opposite worlds. Oh my God.
Opposite worlds. And I got my Series 7 and my Series 66 licenses, which are your licenses to trade stocks and render advice on them. And it was literally the hardest thing. I hadn't studied since my 20s in college. And I really believe that was like the springboard where it gave me confidence. And I was like, holy cow, if I can pass those tests, okay, let me do this. And I couldn't get the collagen like out of my mind. And I had this idea to do a collagen water.
Okay.
Why I ever wanted to get into beverage. It's the hardest industry. It's so male dominated. Anyways, I spent a couple of years in beverage. I got ripped off by Vital Proteins, who has way more money than I did. And that basically put me out. I also found out in the process I couldn't trademark the name I had been using. I mean, it was like one thing after another. And so I sold off all my inventory and then I restarted with powder and I had to rename the company and using my own name. I resisted. And everybody, like my investors, friends, family was like, why don't you use your own name? It's your story. So that's what I did.
I like it because I do think your story is so tied to your brand. You can't have one without the other.
Right.
And I think when founders have that kind of connection, and also people want to know who's behind the brand, right? My brand is actually, did you know it's named after my co-founder's husband?
That's what I thought. I thought so.
Yeah, his name is Masahiro, and he was the inspiration for our hero ingredient. And so when we were thinking of our branding, it was like, wait a minute, he's our muse.
Right.
We should name it after him. And by the way, it means truly beautiful in Japanese. So there was that.
Perfect.
But I think in your case, Elaine Wellness makes perfect sense because you're behind it. It's your brand and it is about wellness because it's not just a beauty brand.
Right.
So talk about the benefits of collagen because obviously hair, we know that.
Right.
And so I started taking this, by the way, about a month. We're going to see my hair's coming in pretty thick, but I figured why not try now that I'm getting hair back to see
what happens.
I may have to never stop though, because I'm worried if I stop, then what happens?
Well, you've got the hookup, Lynn, right?
I guess so. All right. So give me a little bit of insight though into what else collagen is good for. And
Right. So collagen, our bodies are made up of about 30% collagen. It's literally in everything. It's in your hair, your skin, your nails, your teeth, your bones. It's in everything. And collagen, the word collagen comes from a Latin word that is literally meaning glue. It's like the glue that holds your body together. So when you get to your mid 20s, your body stops to produce as much collagen. I always say, like, if you look at little kids, their skin is like plump and beautiful. And if they scratch themselves, it heals in 2 seconds. Because the body's so flush with collagen. But we start to lose it as we age. Then the other piece of the puzzle is we no longer eat a collagen rich diet. We're not eating foods that are supporting that collagen production. So that's why you want to supplement with collagen, because it supports your hair, your skin. I tell most people, when you start taking it, you're going to notice your nails. Your nails will start growing quickly. You know, it's good for joint health. The funny thing is, I have girlfriends who their husband's always like, wait, what's that? What are you taking? And then they start taking it and they notice their joints feel better.
Okay, that's fascinating, because one of my symptoms from one of the drugs that they've been giving me called Herceptin is joint pain.
Ah, okay.
And I actually, now I didn't put it together until you just said that. Over the last month since I've been taking the collagen, I have felt better. Like it's not, and I just thought it was because I'm getting through my, like I'm
right.
But that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. It makes sense though. So it's basically all that like ligament type tissue, right? Like that connecting elastic stuff. Yeah. So it's helping all that. And it's the fast growing cells.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the other thing. Fast growing cells are what chemo attacks. So my nails were horrible before and now they're back to normal.
Yeah.
So that's interesting too. And I think that's probably a collagen effect as well.
Could be. And I always tell people with hair, and you probably know this, like hair grows about a half an inch a month. So it took me time to get my hair like fully back and thick again. So when people DM me and they're like, oh my God, your hair, I'm like, hold on.
Yeah.
It didn't happen in 2 weeks. I know we want everything instantaneously, but
that's a good reminder, because you're right. We live in such a like instant gratification culture that I think it's hard for people to be patient and just take it on faith and keep taking it. But it does, like I've definitely noticed the difference.
Yeah.
And I think now that I'm talking to you, I'm seeing it's actually helped my nails, my hair. I assume it's helping my hair.
Yeah.
And then obviously skin. So talk about what it does to your skin. It kind of plumps it, right? You said?
Right. Well, so some people want to apply collagen topically, which the peptides are too big, so they generally won't penetrate your skin.
Okay. So
but what I said on that roundtable podcast we did is, beauty is an inside job. I was just talking to my naturopath, who I love and adore, and she was saying your skin is a reflection of your liver health. And so if you really take care of your liver health and also your gut health, that is a reflection on your skin. So I know we love to do all the topical stuff, and there's so many different things you can do topically to your skin. But I always say to women, start inside, because, if you're having acne or you're having breakouts or things like that, that's just, I always say symptoms are signals. They're messengers. They're there to like put a little red flag up saying, hey, something needs attention.
It's so true. And it's hard to feel beautiful when you have breakouts or when your skin is dull or your hair is falling out. And so it's so interesting. All right. So what makes your collagen so special? Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, I had to find a new supplier. My supplier here in the US told me, they're like, we are sold out. We are having major issues. And as an entrepreneur, you gotta like figure it out. So I found this supplier that was new to importing to the States. The product is from Spain. And we know that in Europe, they have much stricter standards when it comes to agriculture, raising animals, all of that. So they sent me samples and I was like, oh my God, this stuff dissolves without even stirring it. There is not even a hint of taste or odor. And it's because they use a chemical-free process to extract the collagen. So it's just a very clean source. And so far, people have just been raving about it. It's the quality is there. I mean, again, because my name is on the package, I want to sell something that is quality.
Yeah, that makes tons of sense. But I agree. I think when it dissolves easily, to me, that is a signal, because I feel like when it doesn't dissolve, and I have used products in the past, collagen products, where they kind of, they're powdery and then they get chunky and then they don't really dissolve. It makes me think that there's fillers in there.
Yes. Yeah. When they get like clumpy and weird.
Yes. Because otherwise it's like, it's partially dissolved and then there's chunks in there and you kind of go, okay, that's sort of weird. Like, why is that happening? So when you have the experience of being able to mix it in and it's easy and it doesn't do that. But it's interesting because your product is one of like, it's almost the opposite of a lot of beauty products, right? It's like what you don't see and you don't taste is good.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. And you know, with the dissolving, it was interesting. My photographer and I were doing a bunch of product photos. So you know how that goes. Like I've got like all kinds of pots of coffee going because we're taking all these photos, like dumping it into coffee. So we had all these coffee mugs and I looked at her and I'm like, Angelica, oh my gosh, we set all of them aside. Like we were pouring it in and then we would set them aside. And I'm like, we didn't stir any of these and they are completely dissolved.
Yeah.
Like nothing.
What's the difference for anyone listening who's curious of putting it in hot versus cold? Is one better than the other? Does it dissolve easier in hot? Does it not make a difference?
Well, so when they first sent me samples, I mean, I'm going to test it every way, right? So I tested it in like hot coffee. Then the hardest way to test it is in a glass of water. And again, I dumped it in, didn't stir it. And it takes time, you know, it takes probably 2 or 3 minutes. And it went completely dissolved, no clumps, no weirdness without me doing a thing. Then I taste it and there was no taste. And so, yeah. And so then it became this whole story.
Right. So you can use it in any drink, right?
Yep.
You use it in, do you ever use it in things like, I don't know, pudding or things that you can applesauce or cottage cheese? Can you mix it in other types of foods?
Yeah. So I have a chef nutritionist, Michaela Klaus, who creates recipes for us every month. And I just give her carte blanche, like she's creative in the kitchen. You do your thing. So we do a whole rotation of all different types of things. We just sent a recipe out, I think this morning, and it's a strawberry rhubarb crumble.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
And she made it for her family for Easter. And she's like, they were practically licking their plates. So we put it in everything. You can bake with it.
You can bake with it. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. So like, why wouldn't you just put a few sprinkles in, right?
Right. And then on Shoplit Live, I work with this woman, Amy, who I love. And she tells me all kinds of ways that she uses it to like feed her kids and like sneak it into her husband's stuff. And so
that brings up a good question though. Is it safe if she's feeding it to her kids, I'm assuming it's okay for kids to have it, right?
Yeah, I always say, check with your medical provider because I'm not a medical provider, but I have friends who give it to their kids in smoothies. I think she puts it in soup sometimes for her kids. Smoothies
is a great idea. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Shakes, smoothies. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love this. This has been super interesting. And now I feel like I can't not take it because there are just too many positives and why the negatives.
Right.
I have not had my TSH checked in a while, but I've been on Synthroid forever. So maybe I need to get it checked and see. after maybe I'll give it a little time and see what happens, right?
Check it out. Yeah, because I was able to get off of it.
Yeah, that's
And
what I'm
then
wondering.
I did have to go back on it briefly, kind of around that whole perimenopause, menopause transition. But again, my naturopath explained to me my T4 was not converting to T3. So you can jam a bunch of levothyroxine or Synthroid for the TSH, but if it's not converting, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
matter.
So she's like, that's a liver issue. That conversion happens in the liver. So I really worked on adding some foods into my diet to support the liver, things like beets or bitter greens, like dandelion greens, things like that. And I went back, I had my labs done, and she's like, oh my God, your liver is like so happy.
That's
So
great.
I got off, I'm not on any thyroid medication now.
Oh, that's what I would love to get to that point. But
Yeah.
you're my role model, so maybe it'll
Oh.
happen. That's awesome.
I tell people all the time, it's discipline and consistency, which is not really sexy or glamorous, but
You gotta
it's
do it.
it's eating well, it's, drinking enough water, getting enough sleep. It's boring, but that's what works.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for chatting. This was super interesting. I'm going to leave you with one last question, because we are this amazing pop-up with 32 other brands.
I know.
What other indie brand are you obsessed with right now?
Oh my gosh. Putting me on the spot here. Well,
I know, right?
I'm obsessed with your shampoo because my hair is not curly today, but I have curly hair, which means it's dry. And especially my ends, which I'm way overdue for a haircut. But your shampoo and conditioner is really one of the few things that has really hydrated my hair. Like I feel the difference. Yeah, especially with curly hair. And I try not to, like, my hair girl doesn't want me blowing out my hair a lot.
No, you shouldn't.
She's very bossy about my hair. But
love that. She's right though. Yeah. Well, thank you for that shout out. But we have so many amazing brands here. It's just such a pleasure to get to know the founders and get to hear the stories, because there are a lot of brands that have similar stories to yours, in the sense that, like, they started their business because they had a health issue or that kind of awakening, and they're sharing what they've learned, and it's amazing. So thank you. And anyone who wants to find out more about Elaine Wellness, you can go to her website, which is elainewellness.com, right?
Yep.
She's on Instagram. She's on Facebook. What else?
I started a YouTube channel.
And so we'll probably post this there too.
Yes, absolutely.
So amazing. And come, if you're in San Francisco and you're watching this, come check us out, Stone Sun Galleria, and you can just pick up her product on the spot. So thank you.
Yes.
And I hope I see you in person soon.
I know. I hope so. Thank you so much, Lynn. It's a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.